Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be showing you the Porsche 911 GT1 Evolution in multiplayer in Asphalt 9 for the second time, this time at max or 4 stars. There was recently a car hunt for this car, and Bebop has given me some races in his, with all upgrades and import parts applied except for the epics, because let's be honest, who wants to spend epics on this car? Most of you have probably already forgotten about it. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and also consider following my new YouTube Instagram, where I actually post the videos that I'm going to be uploading before I upload them. So if you would like to know what I'm going to be posting before I post it, make sure to follow me there. So the Porsche 911 GT1 Evolution is a bit of a bizarre car. It was added in the Porsche update to Asphalt 9, which was a few updates back, and it was undoubtedly the worst and least useful car in the update. The rest of them, while they may not have been kings, at least were better in their classes than this car is. This car is literally toward the very bottom of Class B, and its stats show that as well. Basically, everything about this car is mediocre, and it is very similar to a car that was added in the previous update, which was the Ital-Design Zero Uno. Not in stats necessarily, because it is worse than that car by a good bit. However, they are both in Class B. The Zero Uno, again, is a very low car in its class compared to a lot of the other new cars added. And the thing about this is, there's nothing wrong with adding cars lower in classes. You know, maybe beginners can get them, and they can be new cars for beginners to be excited about. The problem is that oftentimes, cars like the 911 GT1 and the Zero Uno are just as hard to get, or nearly as hard to get at least, as some of the much better cars that were added in those same updates. And I mean, the Zero Uno is a bit better than this one because it was a car that you had to get in order to win the Yes Go through its Drive Syndicate event. I know that most people didn't actually win the cars through that event, but if you did, you would have had to have gotten the Zero Uno. So it held a purpose there at least, but this car doesn't really have much of a purpose in this game that I can see. Now, they did have a car hunt for it a little bit of a while ago, which is one reason why I wanted to make this video now, so that you guys who may have gotten this car or started up in that will see how it might perform in multiplayer. Because as you can see here, it is in Gold League and doing okay-ish, but again, that's only because it's being driven well against people who probably are not driving quite as well. This car is nowhere near as good as even, say, the Corvette Grand Sport, and especially not the Huracan or a lot of other B-class cars that you would face in this car in these seasons. Now, in this car's car hunt, you might think that, well, it would be a very good car for beginners to go for. The thing is, the weird thing about it is they gave guaranteed blueprints if you drove, say, the CN or something, for example, which is a better car than this one. And so beginners could go in with other cars, but ones that give guaranteed blueprints are already better than this one, so it's almost like they're gearing it towards people who already have that car. You guys see where I'm going here? It doesn't seem like Gameloft is showing off this car to the audience, which would be the ones that would most need it, the beginners to the game who want to get a decent early B-class car. And even with that, for example, you can get the Asterion very easily doing daily tasks with not nearly as much grinding as you would have to do in order to get this car in the car hunt, especially to max, because I remember the drop rates were not that great. And the Asterion is quite a bit better than this car. It's not quite as good as the Zero Uno, but it's definitely better than this one, and I still hold by it that the Asterion is definitely the best early B-class car that you can get in the game because you can get it through daily tasks like that. If you haven't unlocked it yet, you can get 5 blueprints per day just by doing the daily tasks and getting up to 6 done. So that car is very easy to get, and I don't see a point in adding a new car that is worse than that is harder to get, or at least more tedious, because people are simply not going to want to go for it if they know what it is like. You'll notice that Gameloft did not have a max free try season for this car, because then people would really see, okay, this thing is not really worth my time at all. So I guess I just wish that Gameloft would make those cars that are toward the bottom of their classes that seem like they're supposed to be beginner cars as easy to get as other beginner cars in the game, to incentivize people to get them who might not otherwise be able to, and whom it would actually benefit quite a bit in some cases. If you are able to get it to max, it does drive well enough so that in some cases you are able to beat some higher end C and B class cars, like you saw in that last race. Bebop beat a Corvette in this car, and that car is definitely better than this one. So this car, if you do get it, you can use it in Gold League multiplayer, but you have to drive very well with it if you want it to do very good, and it is most definitely not going to be useful beyond Gold League, unlike some other B-Class cars, which are good even up through Platinum League, especially the new F1 LM, which is just as fast as the fastest A-Class cars. Now, I do think that car might be at a slight disadvantage in multiplayer because of its poor acceleration, which could lead to an issue in some cases, but I think for most people, the good nitro efficiency will sort of even that out. However, if you get a very short track, that might be a bit of an issue. Now, my F1 LM is at 3 stars, and Hot Dog and I both underestimated just how much people were going to spend on the F1 LM compared to other Grand Prix cars, because he and I both 3-starred it. And I'm at 12th place and he's at 11th place in it, and yeah, we've both been playing our best in it. It's just other people are starring up the car even more than we are, which makes sense given that it's a new B-Class King on most tracks, but given that the packs for this car cost 900 instead of 750, which make absolutely no sense, honestly, in the long run. 900 before was only for the high-end A and S-Class cars especially. Now we're getting it for the high-end B-Class cars too. I just don't think that's a good move. But people must be spending like 10,000, 20,000 tokens on the F1 LM alone to be able to get it up to those high stars. Because, say for example, going from 3 to 4 star requires 46 blueprints in that car. Well, that would cost you approximately 7,000 tokens to get if you get average luck, so say 6 in each 10 times pack. Now I have about 7,000 tokens right now, so I could do it. The problem is, I do not want to, because number one, it would exhaust my token supply if I were able to do it, so that I would have no tokens left for the next season, which is a Ferrari season. There could be something really good there as well, perhaps even better. I do not think there will be, but also there's the fact that I might not even get that 4-star in the F1 LM after spending all those tokens. And it's still possible that I might be able to guarantee myself a 10th place with a 3-star car. I'm not entirely sure now if that's going to happen or not, but I will try my best. Even if I don't, I should be getting hopefully at least 12th or 13th place or so, where I will be getting a good number of packs to have a pretty good chance of getting it. Of course, though, I'm going to try as hard as I can to get that car since I spent so many tokens on it, just like the Yesco. I just hope that nothing happens with the Yesco event again, where I'm like just barely behind the guaranteed car and I have to rely on packs to be able to get it at that point. That was no fun at all. I don't think I'll be able to get the McLaren Speedtail, and for a few reasons. The first of which being, I don't even think I have the necessary cars at the required stats or stars or whatever in order to get enough conditions to unlock the packs for it. And even if I did, it would probably, again, exhaust my tokens, or at least several thousand of them, to just unlock that car at 1 star, which is kind of useless. It's very good at max, but even there, it's not a king. So yeah, I'm probably not going to be unlocking that one, but you can bet I'll definitely try to get some videos of it. I've actually had quite a bit of fun driving it in the event, you know, in the days where you can drive it at max for free. A lot of people have asked me how it compares to other high-end S-Class cars, such as the Lycan and the Zenvo. I believe it is better than cars like the Zenvo and the Fenner, because it is a bit faster and it's more agile overall, but it's not a king. It's not going to be as good as, say, the Tryon or the Regera or the Chiron or those cars that are even better than those. So it sits at sort of mid to high-end S-Class, but it is definitely a lot better than the Lycan that I had initially compared it to, because again, it's 6-star and the Lycan was 5-star, and you can't really compare 5 and 6-star cars if they have the same stock stats without taking that into account. The 6-star car is probably going to be a little bit better at least. As we move into our final race, it is time for my general review about this car. It is one of the lowest end B-Class cars, and if there had not been a car hunt for it, if there had been any other way to get it, I would have said, nope, it's not worth it. This car is not worth spending tokens on at all. You definitely want to save your tokens for something better whenever this car comes around again. However, if you did manage to get this car through its car hunt, and especially if you started up a bit, it might be worth it to try it out in lower end Gold League multiplayer to give it at least a little bit of use. In terms of its stats, honestly, there's not really much I can say about it other than everything is kind of mediocre and average, about what you might expect for a low-end Class B car. There's nothing particularly great about about it, there's nothing particularly horrendous about it. It's probably one of the most boring cars the Gameloft has added to the game in recent updates. But Bebop did have some good races in it, facing some very good B-class cars. In this race, he's facing 4 Corvettes with one directly behind at the end, and he manages to stay ahead until the final second to take the victory. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you have enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content. I'm trying to slow down my outros a bit, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!